But the church has become defiled. It has become defiled with paganism. Most of what we see in today's Western church is not Judeo-Christian. It is Babylonian. It is pagan. We see a mixture of the seeds and therefore a mixture of the fruit which comes as a result. There's a minister I know who quite a while ago was asked to do a series on the book of Romans in a Methodist church. A Methodist church asked him to do a series on the book of Romans. So he thinks, okay, I'll start in chapter 1. You can see where this is going. He does his sermon on Romans chapter 1. The ministers then come up to him and say, we've had a few complaints about the teaching you've done today on Romans chapter 1. We're going to abandon the Romans series and we want you to teach on Lent instead. So he says to them, so you want me to teach on something that isn't in the Bible as opposed to something that is in the Bible? It is a mixture of paganism and biblical Christianity. This is what God hates. God actually prefers it when it's one or the other. He doesn't like a mixture. He'd rather it all be good or all be bad. He doesn't want the two being mixed. The church of Laodicea is described as the lukewarm church. The lukewarm church. What is lukewarm? A mixture of hot and cold. And God says, I would rather you just be cold, because you can't separate the two. You can't get rid of the cold water without getting rid of the hot water, and therefore I have to vomit the entire lot out of my mouth. That's what Revelation 3 tells us. A mixture of hot and cold, lukewarm. Therefore, I must get rid of the lot. And if ever I've seen a mixture of paganism and Christianity, it's that message given by King Charles, praising Islam instead of praising Jesus. What has Islam, a religion that rejects the resurrection, what has Islam got to do with the resurrection of Jesus Christ? Absolutely nothing. Oh, we need to find common ground. We need to unite. We need to be one in faith. We are not to be one in faith with those who say that God has no son. And that's what Islam says. God has no son. That's what it will say on that dome with the rock, which stands where the temple used to stand in Jerusalem. God has no son. That's what they believe. We are not to unite with those who say that God has no son and that Jesus never rose from the dead. That is not of Christ. That is of Antichrist. And that's why I'd say he's a big candidate for that position. Revelation 18 verse 4 says, come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins and receive of her plagues.